Welcome to the Inner City Farm in the heart of Sandton. Today we're going to talk about organic vegetables and herbs in pots. As you can see by the gorgeous things around me, we've got quite a lot of variety. So I always get asked by my students these questions: what to grow in a pot, what size pots you need, and what soil to use. Now the foremost important thing is pot gardens need sun, water and food. Sun, you need 5 to 6 hours a day, and water, you need to water every single day, especially your small pots which dry out really quickly, unless you have a self-watering system. And I'm going to show you a little trick on how to create your own self-watering system, something I learned from a lady in Arizona. And lastly, feeding. You've got to feed your plants. So start off feeding your plants from the second month after potting them up, and it's a good idea to feed twice a month. You can either use your homemade compost tea or a liquid-based fertilizer. Seaweed is really good for that, and it gives your plant that extra boost. Don't forget, you can folio feed often. What that means is putting your liquid feed into a spray bottle and spray your leaves whenever you want to. Don't substitute folio feeding for normal feeding or for watering. Getting back to the questions, what size pots to use and what grows in a pot? Well, as far as I'm concerned, you can grow any vegetable in a pot. It all depends on the size. So to give you some examples, this pot, which is 15 centimeters, you can grow pretty much any shallow rooted vegetable or herb in a pot this size. And I've actually got radish growing in here. You can grow lettuce, chives, rockets. All your herbs actually fit in smaller pots because their root systems are quite shallow. All you've got to remember to do is to water them. If you want to grow things that are a bit bigger, like over here, we've got these gorgeous pot growing sweet peppers. This is about a 20 to 25 centimeter pot. When I say centimeters, I don't only mean depth, I mean width as well. When you're growing bigger things like tomatoes or cauliflower, kale, cabbage, remember, you've got to then get a bigger pot. And with those, I start off with about a 55 centimeter depth and width. What we have here is an example of that. And what we've done is we've put some Swiss chard as well as herbs at the base, because don't forget, you still have to companion plant with your vegetables to keep pests away and to bring pollinators in. You can even grow carrots in a pot. This is a 20 centimeter pot to allow for the carrot's roots to really develop. And it's really great if you've got something like this magic seeder, which allows you to dispense the seeds evenly without wasting any. You know, we always waste carrot seeds, they're so tiny. So this is a great little tool. Another thing to do, which I love doing, I've got a 15 centimeter tin here and I've put some onions in. You can do this with beetroot as well. It's a great way to create mini veg, which is basically a smaller version of the bigger vegetable. So over here, I've got a 15 centimeter depth pot. Obviously, the width is much wider, but that's okay. You can even have a 15 centimeter width pot as well, and you densely plant it up with the seeds or seedlings of onions and beetroot. And because they push against each other but have nowhere to go, you create a mini version of the actual vegetable. I'm going to show you what that looks like. And these are basically ready to use. I mean, I'm going to put this in my salad, or you can put it in stews. Really handy. And then there's what type of pots to use. So I love to use plastic pots. They're my absolute favorite. And always remember, one drainage hole is not enough. So put lots of drainage holes at the bottom. Another thing I like to do is I love to use tins, baking tins, any old tins, and don't forget drainage holes in those too. Earthenware, always so beautiful, such a romantic look and feel, but earthenware does leach water. Water actually seeps through the earthenware. So a good idea for that is plant in a pot that is plastic and then take it and stick it in an earthenware pot so you can actually have the beauty, the whole look and feel, but your plant is still in a plastic pot and you can take it out if you want to change it. The last question I get asked is soil, what to put in the pots. Now that's really important because your plants have to maintain for quite a long time. So I'm going to show you my favorite mix, which really works for me. So over here we have vermiculite. What vermiculite is, it basically acts as a sponge. So it absorbs the water, it swells up, and it keeps the moisture in the pots. Really important. I use equal quantities of each, okay? There is nothing more valuable than organic compost. By the way, your potting soil also needs to be organic, very important. So homemade compost, nothing like it. Obviously, it includes all your vegetable peels and your fruit peels and your hedge clippings and your grass clippings, and it breaks down into this wonderful black humus. I mean, look at this. This has obviously been sieved. I mean, your compost never looks this perfect, so this is sieved compost. And remember, 1 scoop of each, or 1 equal measurement of each. And lastly, I use certified organic slow release fertilizer. Amazing stuff. 2 cups of these per wheelbarrow, and that should do the trick. So what I have here is the final mix, and this is what it looks like. The reason why I wanted to show you is you can actually see the vermiculite, and you've got to have quite a bit of vermiculite in here because you want to keep that moisture in your pot. Now, everybody forgets about mulch. Mulch, what mulching does, and I really have to stress, you have to put mulch on the surface of your soil, whether it's in your pots or whether it's in your garden. We like to use the straw. It's degradable. It degrades within 4 to 6 weeks, and obviously we have to replace it. In drought-stricken areas, you have to put about 5 centimeters of mulch on the surface of your soil so that you can keep as much moisture in your pots or in the soil, in the ground, as long as possible. So there you go. We've got our favorite soil mix over here. I hope you find this recipe really useful. Now I'm going to show you how to pot up your own plants. So the most important thing, of course, is drainage holes. 1 drainage hole is just not enough. I have put 6 in here. Another great thing I've done is I've added wheels. The reason for that is soil gets really heavy when it's wet. Okay, so to start, we need drainage, extra drainage. So what I've got here is some crushed pebbles, and for a pot this size, you just need about 4 to 6 centimeters of extra drainage. And now I've already got my potting mix all sorted out. I'm going to fill this pot up halfway. So let's do that. The reason why I'm only filling it up halfway is so that I can show you that great watering trick that I spoke about. So I've got this pot half filled up. I'm going to take a recycled small bottle of water, and I need a pin. Tiny, small pin. What you do is you have to fill the bottle of water up the night before you're going to plant, because you want the water to freeze inside. You've got to poke little holes all over the bottle, and the reason why you do this, obviously, when the water is frozen, is so that it doesn't leak out while you're doing that. So remove the top of the bottle. We've got this water defrosting already, so let's hurry this up. Put it in the center of the pot. The reason why you need to put it in the center of the pot is so that the water can get straight to the roots and you avoid surface evaporation at the same time. So let's fill this up. There you go. So we've got this pot filled, we've got the head of the bottle sticking out, and now we're going to plant up our peas. But first, we have to water the soil to make sure that when you plant up your peas or any other vegetables in a pot or in the soil, the most important thing is that the roots of the seedling is attached to water immediately. Okay, so we've got our seedlings here. We've got our little trellis. There you go. We're going to put that in the center and start planting our seedlings. I just get my fingers in here because you've got to get these little babies into the soil as fast as possible. This size pot, you could comfortably fit 3 or 4 seedlings in here of peas. Peas don't really need such a big growing space, but they do climb, so it's valuable to have something for them to climb up. There you go, cover that up. Can you see I'm twisting it around the trellis to give it a head start so it doesn't have to do much work? It's going to have to acclimatize itself in the pot, so we want to make them as comfortable as possible. Doesn't that look lovely? Now, the point about having this watering bottle inside your self-watering system is that the water will slowly defrost and then seep through the tiny little holes that you've made with your needle. You will have to top this up every now and then, so don't forget to do that. Lastly, mulch. People really forget about mulch, and it's really important to put mulch on the surface of your pots or even in your garden. The reason being is because it prevents surface evaporation. Voila, we've got our pot of peas. Just remember, there are different kinds of peas. Some need a much taller trellis than this. Doesn't mean you need a bigger pot, you just need a bigger trellis. We've got a giant sugar snap variety. Those grow to about 12 centimeters a pod, so in that case you will need much taller trellising. Remember, water your pots. In this case, you'll just need to check the level of the water in the bottle that you've placed in the pot already, and feed. You start feeding in the second month with your liquid fertilizer. You do that twice a month and you'll have some happy plants. Remember to leave it in the sun. You need 5 to 6 hours a day, and if you want to move it, just roll it along. Now, I hope you learned so much in this episode, because not only have we taught you how to do a self-watering container, but we've also shown you that you can grow anything in a pot. So you don't need big tracts of land. You can just use your balcony, you can use your kitchen windowsill. You just need enough space to put a pot there.